Okay folks, Andy Rag here. Going to be setting off on a little walk tomorrow. Going to do the second stage of the Sheffield Country Walk from Foxhouse to Beaushaw's Carvery. So I just thought I'd run through some of the gear I'm going to be carrying with me by way of essentials and by way of just in cases. So the first thing obviously is this thing I'm going to be carrying on my back, and that's this thing. This is the Berghaus Free Flow 35. Now this is quite an old pack. This pack I've had for a number of years, quite a long time actually. It's probably over 10 years old. It's what I normally carry with me if I'm going on a day hike. It's 35 litres. You've got compression straps on the side, you've got attachment points on the front for walking poles or ice axes, some bungee cord here for stuffing stuff like waterproofs if they need to come off. Again, compression straps. There's a bladder hole there. This was one of the first rucksacks to come out with an integral bladder holder. Not that I've ever used it for that purpose. I tend not to use bladders. I have a few, but I tend to use them when I'm riding the bike. You've got a massive inside and an outside top pocket. Really comfortable harness system with this meshing which stops your back sweating or minimises sweat on your back. There's no pack ever going to stop your back from sweating if you're hoofing around. Quite a comfortable waist belt arrangement there. Chest straps. Obviously these elastics on the shoulder straps there are for the water bladder pipe, but obviously the edge of the pack, the elastics start to perish a little bit, but the rest of the pack is fine. One other thing, there is a waterproof cover in the bottom of the pack. Only just covers the pack, so if you've strapped anything else onto it, it's not really good. Not that I've ever really need to put anything on. I always make sure I have a liner, a waterproof liner in my rucksack, and typically I use these things. These are just Morrison's rubble sacks. They cost about £2.50 for a roll of 25. Really heavy duty plastic. I've used them for years actually. I used them when I was in the TA for waterproofing, and they never let me down. You know, as long as you keep an eye on them and replace them regularly, and at £2.50 for 25 you can do so quite often. They are quite robust. So that goes inside the rucksack. So what we'll do is we'll pack everything in the order it goes in, and the order that I choose to use is what I might need least goes in first. So obviously the first thing that goes in the bag is the liner, so please bear with me. Okay, so the cheap and cheerful dry bag is in the rucksack there, and now we come to the first bits of stuff to go in there. So if I'm going out on the hills, and by that I mean anywhere in the Peak District that's sort of like away from habitation, I take something like this. This is basically an emergency shelter. So that's a 4-man bovie, which is essentially nothing more than a big nylon bag that's waterproof, and you get in it when the shit happens and you keep warm and out of the rain and the wind. And in order to facilitate a bit of extra warmth, I also carry this. This is an American poncho liner. Had it for ages, and it's a really good blanket, for want of a better word. You can wrap yourself up in it and get inside the bothy, keep warm until help arrives. So they generally live in the bottom of my rucksack all the time. If I'm out on my own, I may substitute that for a Gore-Tex bivy bag, which is probably about just a little bit smaller. in size, but I'm going on a well-travelled route, so chances are I might come across somebody, and so that's why I'm carrying the bothy in this case. So they're my shelter elements. So they're in there. So what goes in next? Well, the next thing I tend to have is a warm jacket. And this is over here. This is my Craghoppers compressor light jacket. I bought that after seeing the Wiltshire man doing his West Island Way video with Barking Badger on YouTube, and for 35 quid you can't go wrong. It's really warm. It's showerproof, it's windproof, and it packs down to next to nothing. In this case I am going to pack it down. I also carry a fleece jumper and a dry bag with my hat, gloves, scarf and whatever else to keep my extremities warm. Maybe even a spare pair of socks. So they go in next. So after a quick stuff in the sack, that's how big that packs down. Really good piece of kit. Can't recommend this enough. Okay, next thing to go in is the waterproofs. Just some really lightweight waterproof trousers and a lightweight waterproof overcoat. Nothing fancy. I've had that coat for a number of years now. Does what it says on the tin. It's quite breathable, although it could do with probably reproofing by now. Not had a chance to use the waterproof trousers yet. They are a new purchase, but I tend not to use those too much unless it's absolutely wazzing it down, so they go in next. Obviously, depending on the weather, if it's raining when I set off, this might actually go on my body, or it might get tucked on the outside there, just so I've got access to it if I think that the weather might be closing, well, might start to deposit some rain in the short term. So then we got this stuff. Don't ever set foot outside the house away from a toilet without some of that. The comfier the better. And then a dry bag with hat, gloves, shemag maybe. That goes in there. Now the last bit of kit to go in the rucksack is my first aid kit. Now this is quite a big first aid kit. It is definitely overkill for a personal first aid kit, but I have been trained extensively in not just first aid, but I was a medic in the territorials, so I do carry quite an extensive first aid kit in case I come across a casualty that needs help. I mean, it would be remiss of me to deny anybody that help, so that's why I carry a big first aid kit. Some people differ on that. Some people's opinions is that you shouldn't really carry too much, because what can you do when you're out and about? Well, my opinion is, if I don't carry something and then somebody dies as a result of me not having X, Y or Z, if it's feasible for me to carry it, I'm going to carry it. That goes in last, so I can get to it quickly. Okay, just bear with me while I wrap this up. Okay, I've not actually fastened the buckle yet, but the next thing to go on the bag is this thing. So this is just a bit of concertina foam, just to pop my backside on if I decide to stop for a brew and sit down. Okay, so that's the concertina foam attached. It's prevented from sliding out of the bottom by this strap. It goes all the way underneath there, like so. And then obviously it's secured by the bungee cord, and then the buckle at the top and the flap just keeps it in position, quite easy to get to. So some of the things that I like to carry. First of all, my mobile phone for comms, a hat, keep the sun off, or keep the rain out of my eyes when my hood's up, a towel just to dry your hands or dry your face, whatever. Essential item, a compass, and some mappage, some navigation aids. Not a big believer in GPS. Satellites fall out of the sky, so unless the Earth's magnetic field decides to take a departure, I'd sooner stick with a map and a compass. These are just some map extracts from the Ordnance Survey website that I printed off, so that I don't have to carry too many maps around with me, because this route takes in 1, 2, 3 different maps, or 3 different areas of maps. But if you print these off from the Ordnance Survey website, it just means that you don't have to carry too much bulky stuff around with you. I will be carrying 2 main maps in the bag as well for today. I don't normally carry multiple maps unless I have to, but this is the essentially the bit of the route I'll be doing tomorrow. So another thing, this will be attached to the, in fact I'll do it now, this gets attached to my rucksack here. And I just tuck it back through there, so it doesn't move around when I'm actually walking with it. And to be honest, I don't really feel it when it's there. Why do I put it there? If I take a tumble, break my ankles, something like that, and I can't get up, obviously I may be in a bit of a hollow or whatever, I can literally get that out, very little inconvenience, and start blowing on that and attract some attention. Oh, the other thing about the compass, this is normally attached to me by this lanyard. I don't like putting things around my neck. I tend to have these things through either a belt loop or around a belt, and put it in my pocket, so that it's not swinging around and dangling around or taking knocks or whatever. If it's attached to you, you always know where it is. Similarly with a torch. This Maglight's been with me for donkey's years, and it's still like new. Again, some 3mm paracord, so was it 2mm or 3mm cordage with 250 pound breaking strain. I think I actually nicked this bit from the Royal Signals, but hey, but yeah, just stick a loop on the end of it, put it through a loop in a pocket, and then store the torch in your pocket, and you always know where it is, and it's always attached to you. What else have we got? Okay, we've got some hand sanitizer, just for keeping your hands clean for when you're eating, or if I have to deal with somebody's injuries. A couple of lighters, never be without the ability to light a fire. Spare batteries for my torch, a shit ton more of cordage for what it weighs. I mean, you never know when that's going to come in handy. A Leatherman clone. This is not a particularly good one, I need to replace it, but I've been buying lots of other stuff recently, so it takes precedence. A reasonable blade. Again, you never know when you're going to need a decent knife. Now, that is not a legal carry as it stands there, because it's a locking blade. The regulations in the UK mean for a legal everyday carry you can have, I think it's 2.5 inch blade, it might be 3 inch blade, but the blade cannot be a locker, and this is a locker. But we've got drinking bottle top for my water bottles, just in case I need to go down that option, save spilling fluids. I change the tops and I just sip on that, and then a dry bag to put it all in. And then lastly, a goodie bag. So in here I've got a bag of beef jerky, very good protein that. We've got some Nature Valley cereal bars, really high in carbs, slow release, some fruit flakes, again good for energy, also like quite good for nutrients, and a picnic bar, not just chocolate but some biscuit and caramel and raisins and nuts and stuff. I might also add a bag of tropical mix or fruit mix in my pockets, so I'm not going to go without something to eat, nibble on. Also, what's missing is a couple of water bottles. Normally I carry 2 1 litre water bottles, and I've recently invested in a soya microfilter. But that's pretty much everything I'll be carrying tomorrow. I might repack, change the order a little bit, but that's generally the order I put stuff in. Most of this stuff will go in the top flap for easy access, or on top of the first aid kit, because it's stuff that, you know, I'm going to need fairly rapidly. But that's it. And obviously I'll be wearing some decent clothes to walk in, a base layer, some lightweight trousers that dry quickly, and tomorrow, because of the ground I'm going to be covering, a pair of mid-height walking boots, some decent socks. Okay, that's my gear. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, don't care, just give us something. And if you're going out there, take it easy and keep it safe. Cheers.